thought if there's one thing we've seen the back of in the age of self-acceptance and self-love, and here, look at my stubbly bikini line, it was the notion that a woman might get out of bed early to make sure she looked pretty when her partner woke up beside her. But no, Charlotte Tilbury, you might have some of her products in your makeup bag. I know I do. I have one of her foundations, a good eye crayon. Apparently she sells some kind of fancy face cream every 2 seconds.
I have the flawless filter.
Yeah. She is a British beauty guru. She is 48 years old. She says that her husband of 7 years has never seen her without makeup, and her husband before him never saw her without makeup either. She said, so the journalist from the Daily Mail who is interviewing her, she said, is it true that neither husband number 1 or 2 have ever seen you without makeup and you even wear it to bed? And she said, yes, I do, darling. She does speak like a character in AbFab. It's really quite special.
And she wears a lot of makeup. She's quite OGT.
She does. And she's very put together. She says, yes, I do, darling. I have my bedroom eye. I take off my makeup, do my skincare, and then I put on my, and of course she name checks it, Colour Theory eyeliner that lasts 16 hours and my mascara. George, that's her husband, has never seen me without a bedroom eye. Never, I tell you. Keep the magic alive. Never, ever, says the journalist. Never, ever, ever, says Charlotte, just to make sure you know. Now, this sounds to me profoundly old-fashioned and inauthentic. But Mia, you read an essay by the writer Linda Wells about privacy this week that makes you think maybe there's something to this.
Yes. Linda Wells is a former editor of a very well-known beauty magazine called Allure in America. And she wrote about how while her husband has indeed seen her without makeup, and what Charlotte Tilbury was saying that she did was quite extreme, she was advocating for a return to privacy within relationships, that this idea that just because you were in a romantic relationship with someone, or not even in relationships, but just in general, that there are some things that don't need to be done in front of a partner, some things that don't need to be put on the internet, that, you know, and she name-checked a whole bunch of treatments that people are doing at the moment that are particularly disgusting, like a couple of which I bought immediately. One is some mask that looks like diarrhea, baby diarrhea when you put it on your face. Another one is this thing called baby foot that you put it on your feet and then just your feet skin peels off, basically. Like, you know, whether it's, tweezing, squeezing pimples, how a lot of these beauty treatments are not very attractive, and perhaps it's not a bad thing to have a little bit of mystery.
I think if you truly love someone, you're not disgusted by any of that stuff.
Oh.
But I would say that the thing about this Charlotte Tilbury interview, can we all just acknowledge that this was an ad?
Definitely.
It was an
product
ad.
placement.
Yeah, but do you remember
Alana,
what was her name? Alana Hill?
Yes, Alana Hill.
Do you remember Alana Hill,
the
fashion designer? I don't know if her brand is still around. I know that she sort of sold it. She said the same thing. She didn't have any makeup to sell, but she also looked actually very similar to Charlotte Tilbury. It's a bit of an oldie, worldy Hollywood glamour look of like lots of eyelashes and, you know, artfully outlined lips and everything. And she used to do the same thing. Her husband never saw her without makeup.
But I think for both of those women, it's part of their brand, and they both have brands that are built on having a certain look. And
do you have
Alana,
to be on brand at home?
I think that it's all just an extension of that. So Charlotte Tilbury saying that she wears this Colour Theory eyeliner that lasts 16 hours. One, I'm buying that eyeliner. What kind of eyeliner lasts 16 hours?
So it works.
But
the product placement has worked.
Yes, but people were so upset about this and saying how it's so superficial, it's so vain. And I don't actually think it's true. And two,
you don't think it's vain? I think it's insecure.
No. Sorry, I do think it's vain, but I think that what she said probably isn't true. I don't believe her. That she always wears eye makeup in front of her husband's. I think that she has to say that in order to convince, like where's our surprise that a woman who has made her money selling makeup is telling women, hey, you know how you wear makeup all day? Why don't you also wear it while you sleep?
I think that's very true. It's like buy more makeup.
Yeah.
Because your eyeliner's going to run out faster if you're putting it on twice a day.
And wash it all off, all of it, then put it on again.
But I believe it. I believe it wholeheartedly because I think there's a very specific type of femininity which does believe that anything that is authentic, is gritty, is pussy, is squeezy, is a bit blah, is gross and should be hidden from men at all times. And
But isn't that our real selves?
Well, that's the thing, right? For me, I would find it very exhausting and inauthentic. And for me, true intimacy is about not having to be on brand at home. Like when I'm at home and I close the door, I can be a different kind of Holly than I am out in the world. I don't have to have my lipstick on. I don't have to perform a certain way like you. But the thing is, and this is the thing about a little bit of mystery or a little bit of magic, is that's all well and good for me that I get to be my true, authentic, gross self at home. And I'm joking about gross. I don't really believe I am intrinsically gross, but the problem with that, if there's a problem with that, is that you save all your sparkle for everybody else. And at home, I'm just like a wordless, colourless,
when you become
pile of pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. You become aware that your partner has not seen you out of pajamas for days and sometimes weeks. But I want to ask a question about the idea of Botox, because I know that that's something that a lot of women don't share with their partners, the fact that they've had Botox.
Pretty much all my friends who get Botox don't tell their partners.
Same.
They either genuinely don't think their partner will be interested, or they do.
So what's that
keep
about?
It as they're like, I think it is though that they know or sense that their partner will judge them.
Oh,
so
Brent
they
would
don't
massively judge me.
Yeah.
Like this is not, and it doesn't play into my decision because I don't really care that much. I could easily fight that fight if I wanted, but there would be a disappointment in his eyes.
Yeah, same.
But it's
Rory
none of their
would be-
business.
Rory would be very disappointed.
But it's none of their it's none of their
No,
business.
it's
surely.
absolutely none of their business, and it's not like they would, he would try and stop me or like anything like that. But I think that there is. I don't know. I think there would be a judgment there about how superficial it would be of me to do that.
See, I'm going to push back on that so hard.
No, I don't think so, but that's what he would think.
No, I know. I'm going to push back on the men, not on you. I'm going to push back on the men because it's so easy. And in some ways it's lovely what they're saying, right? Because if it was the reverse and they were saying, hey, Claire, do you think maybe you should get a bit of a jab? That would be terrible. So what they're saying is, I love you just the way you are, which is actually very beautiful and romantic. However, they don't live in the same world as we do in terms of the beauty standards that we're expected to conform to. And so for them to then guilt us for doing what we have to do to live in this world that is so much tougher on women than men, I just don't think that's fair. It's kind of like a man making a decision about whether you have pain relief during childbirth or not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's got anything to do with anyone other than you, what you do with your face and yourself. But I also don't think you do have to tell everyone everything. Like I know that you're, Mia, you're very comfortable with being warts and all, not literally in front of the camera, but a lot of us are a bit more insecure than that. And I don't think you necessarily have to tell everybody everything.
Yeah. I was having one of my few years ago when I was asking every woman, I was having one of my moments of existential angst about Botox. And I was like, but Ita, what about your daughter? And what does it mean? And your granddaughters? And you've had you've had work. And she's like, she looked at me as if I was an idiot. She goes, why would you tell anyone? It's not anyone's business what you do with your face. Just stop talking. And I was like, but I didn't think of that.
But absolutely, which is a revolutionary idea. But this is the opposite. So the idea that you can't present a makeup-free face to the person who's supposed to love you most in the world is the opposite. This is about their pressure or a perceived pressure on how you're supposed to look to them at home all the time.
Because I actually think it would be different. For example, when I think maybe a lot of women can relate to this, when I was a lot younger and you did sleep at a boy's house or whatever, I did keep my makeup on because I
get up early in the morning, go brush your teeth.
I did a Bridesmaids where she gets up next to John Hamm and fixes her makeup and then he says she looks beautiful and she's like, what? So I think a lot of girls are familiar with that. So if Charlotte Tilbury was saying it in the sense of being vulnerable, that like, this is actually about me, that I don't feel comfortable, I feel like I'm only me with this makeup on, that would be one thing. But the way she's framed it about keeping the magic alive is that she's essentially saying that A, keeping the magic alive is a woman's job. There's no talk about what a man does to keep the magic alive. Do they need to do any beauty things?
Well,
I don't think
yes,
so.
Yes, they do, because I know many women who are like the tracksuit pants he wears around the house and how he just scratches his bum in front, like blah, blah. I know lots of women who would really like it if the men did a little more.
Yeah, I don't want to see toenails
aliving.
being cut.
I feel like with men, it's more of an interpersonal thing that you feel like you can actually say that to them in the relationship, but it's not as much of a cultural conversation around what men need to be doing to keep the magic alive. But the second thing is the idea that keeping the magic alive is dependent on a woman's physical appearance. I would say that how I look.
But that's what society tells us.
Is not. But actually in an intimate partner relationship, I don't think that's the reality.
But I don't think it's a reality either, but it's very hard to unlearn something that you've been taught from the minute that you can consume a marketing message, because we are taught that everything our body does naturally, the way it smells, the way it looks, the hair it grows, the shape of our eyebrows, our pubic hair, all of it is disgusting. And we have to tame it. We have to trim it. We have to wax it. We have to pluck it. We have to use fake tan. We have to do all of these different things to make our body in its natural state more acceptable.
Less repulsive.
Yeah.
I think the moral of the story is we all need a 16-hour eyeliner.
Get up earlier.
What a product.
On.